Language Foundations Vocabulary Flashcards, helping you achieve understanding.
Avoid or try to avoid fulfilling, answering, or performing duties, questions, or issues. She skirted the problem. Extend on all sides of simultaneously, encircle. Informal terms for a young woman. Fungi, a remnant of the partial veil that in mature mushrooms surrounds the stem like a collar. A garment hanging from the waist, worn mainly by girls and women. Cloth covering that forms the part of a garment below the waist. Form the edge of. Pass around or about. Move along the border. The boat skirted the coast. Avoid or try to avoid fulfilling, answering, or performing duties, questions, or issues. Surround so as to force to give up. Beat through cleverness and wit. Avoid or try to avoid fulfilling, answering, or performing duties, questions, or issues. He dodged the issue. An elaborate or deceitful scheme contrived to deceive or evade. A statement that evades the question by cleverness or trickery. A quick evasive movement. Make a sudden movement in a new direction so as to avoid. The child dodged the teacher's blow. Move to and fro or from place to place, usually in an irregular course. The pickpocket dodged through the crowd. Avoid or try to avoid fulfilling, answering, or performing duties, questions, or issues. Cricket. A score of nothing by a batsman. Dip into a liquid. A heavy cotton fabric of plain weave, used for clothing and tents. Flesh of a duck, domestic or wild. Small wild or domesticated web-footed broad-billed swimming bird, usually having a depressed body and short legs. Submerge or plunge suddenly. To move, the head or body, quickly downwards or away. Before he could duck, another stone struck him. Avoid or try to avoid fulfilling, answering, or performing duties, questions, or issues. Be incomprehensible to. Escape understanding by. What you are seeing in him eludes me. Escape, either physically or mentally. The thief eluded the police. Avoid or try to avoid fulfilling, answering, or performing duties, questions, or issues. They tend to evade their responsibilities. Escape, either physically or mentally. This difficult idea seems to evade her. Practice evasion. This man always hesitates and evades. Use cunning or deceit to escape or avoid. The con man always evades. Avoid or try to avoid fulfilling, answering, or performing duties, questions, or issues. Tamper, with the purpose of deception. Soft creamy candy. An intentionally noncommittal or ambiguous statement. Avoid or try to avoid fulfilling, answering, or performing duties, questions, or issues. Any technique designed to reduce or eliminate financial risk. For example, taking two positions that will offset each other if prices change. A fence formed by a row of closely planted shrubs or bushes. Enclose or bound in with or as it with a hedge or hedges. Hedge the property. Hinder or restrict with or as if with a hedge. The animals were hedged in. Minimize loss or risk. Diversify your financial portfolio to hedge price risks. Avoid or try to avoid fulfilling, answering, or performing duties, questions, or issues. A return punch, especially by a boxer. Impede the movement of an opponent or a ball. Fencing. Blocking a lunge or deflecting it with a circular motion of the sword. Avoid or try to avoid fulfilling, answering, or performing duties, questions, or issues. Take away the enthusiasm of. Cause to feel embarrassment. Hold back to a later time. Cause to feel intense dislike or distaste. Avoid or try to avoid fulfilling, answering, or performing duties, questions, or issues. A step to one side, as in boxing or dancing. Form the boundary of. Be contiguous to. Lie adjacent to another or share a boundary. Extend on all sides of simultaneously, encircle. A decorative recessed or relieved surface on an edge. Provide with a border or edge. A line that indicates a boundary. Enclose in or as if in a frame. The boundary of a surface. The boundary line or the area immediately inside the boundary. A strip forming the outer edge of something. The rug had a wide blue border. Extend on all sides of simultaneously, encircle. The sound of a bell ringing. The distinctive ring of the church bell. Ring or echo with sound. Extend on all sides of simultaneously, encircle. Make bells ring, often for the purposes of musical edification. My uncle rings every Sunday at the local church. A toroidal shape. A ring of ships in the harbor. Chemistry. A chain of atoms in a molecule that forms a closed loop. Attach a ring to the foot of, in order to identify. Ring birds. An association of criminals. A rigid circular band of metal or wood or other material used for holding or fastening or hanging or pulling. Sound loudly and sonorously. Get or try to get into communication with someone by telephone. Jewelry consisting of a circlet of precious metal, often set with jewels, worn on the finger. She had rings on every finger. A strip of material attached to the leg of a bird to identify it, as in studies of bird migration. A characteristic sound. It has the ring of sincerity. A platform usually marked off by ropes in which contestants box or wrestle. Envelop completely. Extend on all sides of simultaneously, encircle. The forest surrounds my property. The area in which something exists or lives. The country, the flat agricultural surround. Surround so as to force to give up. Surround with a wall in order to fortify. Informal terms for a young woman. Badminton equipment consisting of a ball of cork or rubber with a crown of feathers. A cry or noise made to express displeasure or contempt. Watch and study birds in their natural habitat. The flesh of a bird or fowl, wild or domestic, used as food. Warm-blooded egg-laying vertebrates characterized by feathers and forelimbs modified as wings. Informal terms for a young woman. Young bird, especially of domestic fowl. Informal terms for a young woman. A woman of refinement. Informal terms for a young woman. A small replica of a person, used as a toy. Informal terms for a young woman. Frequent prostitutes. A toroidal shape. Fungi. A remnant of the partial veil that in mature mushrooms surrounds the stem like a collar. Prevent the occurrence of. Prevent from happening. Let's avoid a confrontation. Declare invalid. Refrain from certain foods or beverages. During Ramadan, Muslims avoid tobacco during the day. Refrain from doing something. He should avoid publishing his wife's memories. Stay clear from. Keep away from. Keep out of the way of someone or something. Her former friends now avoid her. Contend against an opponent in a sport, game, or battle. Experience as a reaction. Collect in one place. A meeting at which a number of athletic contests are held. Be adjacent or come together. Undergo or suffer. Meet a violent death. Fill, satisfy or meet a want or need or conscient RO restriction. Does this paper meet the requirements for the degree? Come together. I'll probably see you at the meeting. Be in direct physical contact with. Make contact. Being precisely fitting and right. It is only meet that she should be seated first. Get together socially or for a specific purpose. Meet by design. Be present at the arrival of. Can you meet me at the train station? A person who is in a position to give you special assistance. He used his business contacts to get an introduction to the governor. The physical coming together of two or more things. Contact with the pier scraped paint from the hull. A thin curved glass or plastic lens designed to fit over the cornea in order to correct vision or to deliver medication. Be in or establish communication with. He never contacted his children after he emigrated to Australia. A communicative interaction. The pilot made contact with the base. Be in direct physical contact with. Make contact. The wire must not contact the metal cover. A channel for communication between groups. The act of touching physically. Her fingers came in contact with the light switch. Electronics. A junction where things, as two electrical conductors, touch or are in physical contact. They forget to solder the contacts. Close interaction. They kept in daily contact. The state or condition of touching or of being in immediate proximity. Litmus paper turns red on contact with an acid. A distinguishing style. This room needs a woman's touch. Make a more or less disguised reference to. Consume. She didn't touch her food all night. The event of something coming in contact with the body. He longed for the touch of her hand. Be relevant to. A suggestion of some quality. There was a touch of sarcasm in his tone. Have an effect upon. The act of putting two things together with no space between them. At his touch the room filled with lights. Be equal to in quality or ability. Your performance doesn't even touch that of your colleagues. A communicative interaction. He got in touch with his colleagues. A slight attack of illness. He has a touch of rheumatism. Affect emotionally. I was touched by your kind letter of sympathy. The faculty by which external objects or forces are perceived through contact with the body, especially the hands. Only sight and touch enable us to locate objects in the space around us. Tamper with. Don't touch my CDs. To extend as far as. The chair must not touch the wall. A slight but appreciable amount. This dish could use a touch of garlic. Be in direct physical contact with. Make contact. The two buildings touch. The sensation produced by pressure receptors in the skin. She likes the touch of silk on her skin. Color lightly. Cause to be in brief contact with. He touched his toes to the horse's flanks. Comprehend. He could not touch the meaning of the poem. Deal with. Usually used with a form of negation. I wouldn't touch her with a 10-foot pole. Deftness in handling matters. He has a master's touch. Make physical contact with. Come in contact with. She never touched her husband. Perceive via the tactile sense. Helen Keller felt the physical world by touching people and objects around her. The act of soliciting money, as a gift or loan. He watched the beggar trying to make a touch. The feel of mechanical action. This piano has a wonderful touch. Lie adjacent to another or share a boundary. Canada adjoins the U.S. Be in direct physical contact with. Make contact. Attach or add. I adjoin a copy of your my lawyer's letter. A young female. A young female. A young female. A young lady of 18. A girl or young woman with whom a man is romantically involved. His girlfriend kicked him out. A young female. A youthful female person. The baby was a girl. A female human offspring. A friendly informal reference to a grown woman. Mrs. Smith was just one of the girls. A young female.
Become our student and get access to effective and free educational materials. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to become a part of our growing YouTube community and to learn English effectively.